What do you do when the most important day of your life turns into a nightmare you never saw coming? The chandeliers sparkled, casting a golden glow over my wedding day. I was in the midst of the celebration, dressed in a delicate lace gown, with Asher by my side, laughing with our guests. Everything seemed perfect, the music, the roses, the joy in the air. But there was something about Gwendolyn's gaze that made my stomach twist. She stood at the edge of the room, watching me with a look that felt more like a warning than a blessing. I tried to ignore it, but little did I know. The perfect day was about to fall apart. I'm Indigo, and just hours ago I had said "I do" to the man I thought was my soulmate. As I gazed at my reflection in the ballroom's golden mirrors, I felt like a princess in my delicate white lace dress. Everything seemed perfect, the pink and white roses adorning each table, the soft melodies playing in the background, the laughter of friends and family filling the room. "Indigo, you're glowing!" My best friend Luna squeezed my hand as we watched the guests enjoying themselves. Asher, my new husband, was laughing with relatives, looking dashing in his black tuxedo. I smiled back at him when our eyes met, and he winked playfully at me. But then, my attention shifted to his mother, Gwendolyn. She was standing in the corner, wearing an elegant navy blue dress, whispering to her sister while staring at me. There was something in her gaze that made me uneasy, but I pushed the feeling aside. It was my wedding day, nothing could ruin it. "Indigo, dear." Gwendolyn's voice broke through the music as she approached me. "Could you come here for a moment?" Her smile didn't reach her eyes, and I felt Luna's hand tighten around mine before letting go. "Of course," I said, smoothing my dress as I walked over. The wedding band on my finger still felt unfamiliar, yet strangely comforting. Gwendolyn's eyes locked on the pearl necklace I was wearing. "I see you're wearing our family heirloom," she said, her voice sharp despite her forced smile. "Who gave you permission to wear it?" I gently touched the pearls, feeling their cool weight. "Asher gave them to me this morning. He said it could be my something borrowed." Gwendolyn's face turned bright red. "Those pearls were meant for my daughter. How dare you wear them without asking me first?" Her voice rose, drawing the attention of nearby guests who were starting to watch. I didn't know," I stammered, my cheeks burning with embarrassment. "Asher said it would be fine." "Asher doesn't make decisions about family heirlooms," Gwendolyn snapped, reaching for the necklace. "Take them off right now." I stepped back, holding the pearls protectively against my chest. "Please, Gwendolyn, not here. We can talk about this later, Mom." "Indigo, what's going on?" Asher appeared beside us, looking confused. He placed a hand on my shoulder, but Gwendolyn grabbed his arm, her face flushed with anger. "She's wearing my mother's pearls, Asher, the ones meant for your sister, and now she won't give them back." "Indigo, maybe you should—" Asher started, but I cut him off, my voice firm. "You gave these to me," I said, meeting his gaze. "You said your grandmother would have wanted me to wear them." Gwendolyn's face turned an even darker shade of red, her voice shaking with fury. "Liar! You're nothing but a gold digger. First my son, now my family's treasures." The music had stopped completely, and the entire room had gone silent. Everyone was watching us now, a few murmurs echoing around the ballroom. "Mom, calm down!" Asher tried to intervene, his face strained, but Gwendolyn wasn't finished. "She's been manipulating you from day one, Asher. Can't you see it?" Gwendolyn was almost screaming now, her voice growing louder with each word. "She's trying to steal everything from us." Before I could defend myself, Asher's face changed. The confusion in his eyes turned to anger. In one swift motion, he bent down, took off his leather shoe, and struck me on the head with it. The room went silent. I stood frozen, my hand moving to my throbbing scalp. The pain wasn't just physical. It was the shock, the humiliation, the betrayal. Luna rushed to my side as tears filled my eyes. "Oh God, Indigo, Asher reached for me, but I stepped back. "Don't touch me," I whispered, my voice surprisingly steady despite the chaos in my head. Looking around, I saw the horror on our guests' faces. Gwendolyn stood there, a small smile playing on her lips. "I think we're done here," I said, removing the pearl necklace and letting it fall to the floor. The sound it made seemed to echo through the silent room as I walked toward the exit, head held high despite the tears streaming down my face. I had no idea that this horrible moment would lead to something much bigger. Asher's call the next day would change everything, but not in the way anyone expected. I remember how I got to the hotel. Luna drove, I think, while I sat in silence, my wedding dress crumpled around me, the spot where the shoe hit still throbbing. The Riverside Hotel's front desk clerk took one look at my tear-stained face and wedding dress and immediately found me a room. No questions asked. "Indigo, you need to press charges," Luna said as she helped me out of my dress. Her hands were shaking with anger. "What Asher did? It's assault and in front of everyone." I sat on the edge of the bed, still in my white slip, feeling numb. My phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Calls from Asher, his family, my family, guests. I finally turned it off. The perfect wedding cake we'd spent weeks choosing was probably still sitting there untouched. The thought made me laugh, a hollow sound that turned into sobs. "I just don't understand," I whispered as Luna wrapped a hotel robe around my shoulders. Everything was perfect this morning. How did it all go so wrong? My social media was exploding. Someone had recorded the whole thing. The argument, the shoe, everything. The video was spreading fast. Wedding from Hell was trending locally. Some comments defended Asher, saying I must have provoked him. Others called for his arrest. "Your sister's on her way," Luna said, scrolling through her phone. "And your parents are trying to get an earlier flight back from their cruise." A knock at the door made me jump. Luna checked the peephole before opening it. It was Juniper, my makeup artist from the wedding. She looked worried. "I brought your overnight bag from the bridal suite," she said, stepping in. "And there's something else you should know." She hesitated, glancing at Luna. "What is it?" I asked, noticing how she clutched her phone. "I was taking behind-the-scenes photos all day, for my portfolio," Juniper explained, "and I caught something weird. Earlier, when Gwendolyn was getting ready, she pulled up a photo on her phone. The image showed Gwendolyn in her navy dress, but what caught my eye was what she was doing. She was on the phone, looking angry, and in her other hand was a document. The camera had caught it at just the right angle. I could make out what looked like bank statements. "I wouldn't have thought anything of it," Juniper continued. "But right after I took this, she saw me and completely freaked out, made me delete the photo. But I had automatic backup turned on." Luna took the phone, zooming in. "Indigo, look at the numbers on that statement. That's a lot of zeros." Another knock at the door made us all freeze. This time, when Luna checked, she turned to me with a pale face. "It's Asher." I stood up, pulling the robe tighter around me. "Don't open it." But then my phone, which I'd briefly turned back on, lit up with a message from him. 6 words that made my blood run cold. "I know what my mother did." My hands trembled as I stared at Asher's message. Luna and Juniper watched me, waiting to see what I'd do. Another text came through. "Please, Indigo, it's bigger than you know. Let me explain." "Don't you dare open that door," Luna warned, but I was already moving. Something in his messages seemed different, desperate, not angry. I opened the door just enough to see him. Asher stood there, still in his wedding suit, but now it was wrinkled, his tie was gone, and he looked scared. 5 minutes, I said firmly. "That's all you get." He stepped in, stopping when he saw Luna and Juniper. "I need to talk to you alone. Based on what you did, you don't get to make demands." Asher ran his hands through his hair, pacing back and forth. "The pearls. They weren't just jewelry. There was a USB drive hidden in the clasp. Mom's been laundering money through my company millions of dollars. The pearls held proof of everything." The room went eerily silent. Luna stepped forward, her eyes fixed on Asher. "Is that why you hit her? Over a USB drive?" "No!" Asher's voice cracked and he turned to me, his eyes filling with tears. I hid her because I'm a coward. My mom's been controlling me for years with these documents. When she started screaming about the pearls, I panicked. I knew what was on them and what would happen if she found out you had them. Start from the beginning, I demanded, my voice steady despite the storm inside me. Asher sank into a chair, his body slumping as if the weight of everything was finally crashing down on him. Mom's been using my wedding planning business to launder money for some dangerous people. Every overpriced vendor, every inflated bill, it was all part of her scheme. I found out 6 months ago, but she had proof that I'd signed off on everything. She threatened to have me arrested if I didn't keep playing along. Suddenly, Juniper spoke up, holding her phone out. Like these bank statements? Asher's face drained of color when he saw the photo. Where did you get that? What I want to know, I interrupted, my voice cutting through the tension, is why you gave me those pearls if they were so dangerous. Because I wanted it to end, he whispered, his voice barely audible. I thought if you had the proof, somehow it would all come out, and I'd be free. But when Mom realized what I'd done, I broke. God, Indigo, I'm so sorry. My head was spinning. The wedding, the business, the pearls, it was all a front for something far darker. Where are the pearls now? Mom has them, he admitted, his voice full of defeat. She's probably destroyed the drive already. Just then, my phone buzzed with an unknown number. I answered it, and a gruff voice came through the speaker. Mrs. Anderson, this is Detective Hayes. We need you to come down to the station. We've just arrested your mother-in-law for trying to leave the country. She had some interesting jewelry with her. I put the phone on speaker, and the detective continued. We've been investigating the Anderson Wedding Company for months. The evidence in those pearls, it's everything we needed. But we need your statement about what happened today. Looking at Asher, I saw the weight lift off his shoulders, a look of relief washing over his face. His mother's control was finally ending. But as I looked at him, I didn't feel pity, nor did I feel forgiveness. Instead, I felt something much stronger. Power. I'll be right there, Detective, I said. And I have a lot to tell you. Luna squeezed my hand as I gathered my things. Asher stood up, his voice pleading. Indigo, please. Save it for your statement. I cut him off before he could say another word. You hit me in front of 100 witnesses. Whatever happens next, you did that all on your own. The police station was buzzing with activity, even at this late hour. I sat in an interview room, still wearing my hotel robe over my slip, giving my statement to Detective Hayes. She was a sharp-eyed woman, jotting down every detail about the wedding, the pearls, and Asher's confession. Here's what we know, Hayes said, spreading photographs across the table. Gwendolyn Anderson has been using her son's wedding planning business to launder money for the past 5 years. High-profile weddings, inflated vendor costs, fake service charges, all of it going to offshore accounts. I stared at the photos, surveillance shots of Gwendolyn meeting with people in dark cars, spreadsheets showing millions in transactions, and a close-up of the pearl necklace. The USB drive was cleverly hidden in what looked like a simple clasp, Hayes explained. The pearls were her backup plan. Hayes explained every transaction, every contact, everything she needed to either continue her operation or bargain her way out of trouble. She never thought her son would give them to you. Luna, who had insisted on staying with me, leaned forward. But why keep records at all? Isn't that risky? Insurance, I realized, the pieces clicking together. She needed proof that Asher was involved to keep him quiet. But she kept it close, literally around her neck, where she thought it was safe. Detective Hayes nodded. Exactly. And now we need your help. We've got Gwendolyn in custody, but there's more to uncover. The wedding today was supposed to be her biggest operation yet. She pulled out more photos. I recognized some of the vendors from my wedding. The florist charged us 3 times the normal rate, the caterer with the excessive special handling fees, the photographer needed an unusual cash deposit. All these businesses, Hayes pointed to each photo, are connected to a larger network. Gwendolyn wasn't just laundering money. She was helping hide funds for an entire criminal organization. Your wedding was going to be their biggest payday yet. My stomach churned. All those guests? Were any of them? Some were under surveillance, yes. We've been watching for months, but we needed concrete evidence. Those pearls gave us everything. Just then, another detective poked his head in. Hayes, you need to see this. The Anderson Company's accounts, they're being drained. Someone's moving the money right now. Hayes jumped up. Can we trace it? Working on it, but there's something else we found. Emails. The wedding wasn't just about money laundering. They were planning something bigger for tomorrow. I felt cold despite my robe. Tomorrow? Hayes turned to me. Mrs. Anderson, Indigo. We need to move you to a safe location right now. What? Why? Luna grabbed my hand. Because according to these emails, the wedding was just phase 1. Phase 2 was scheduled for tomorrow, and it involved you, specifically. As if on cue, my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. The game isn't over, Indigo dear. It's just beginning. Love, Gwendolyn. Hayes quickly bagged my phone as evidence. We're taking you to a safe house, both of you. She nodded to Luna. And Indigo, we're going to need you to help us set a trap. Looking at the evidence spread across the table, the photos, the bank statements, the records of my wedding being used for crime, I felt something shift inside me. The hurt bride was gone. In her place was someone stronger, someone ready to fight back. Tell me what you need me to do. The safe house was a small apartment on the outskirts of town. Detective Hayes' team had swept it for bugs twice before letting us in. Luna and I sat at a scratched kitchen table while Hayes laid out the plan. Gwendolyn's encrypted phone gave us access to her network, Hayes explained, showing us a complex diagram of connections, but she's still managing to run things from inside. We need to shut it all down at once, and you need me as bait, I said, understanding dawning. I was still in my slip with the hotel robe, but someone had brought me clothes, plain jeans and a sweater normal clothes, for what was turning out to be the most abnormal day of my life. We've intercepted messages about a meeting tomorrow, Hayes continued. They think you still have access to crucial information worth killing for. Luna's hand found mine under the table. This is insane. She's been through enough today, but I was already thinking it through. The wedding venue's security cameras suddenly, Juniper mentioned that her photos backed up automatically. What if there's backup security footage too? She asked. Hayes' eyes lit up. We could access the venue's cloud storage, she said. I know all the passwords, I added. Asher gave them to me for the planning. The next few hours were a blur of activity. We discovered that the venue's cameras had captured everything, including meetings in back rooms. We weren't supposed to know about Gwendolyn's network using my wedding as cover for a massive exchange of information and goods. Look at this. Luna pointed to footage from the bridal suite while I was getting ready. 3 different men had come to speak with Gwendolyn, all carrying identical blue gift bags. Those bags, Hayes leaned in closer. We've seen them before in other operations. They're used to transport data drives. I watched myself on the screen, blissfully getting my makeup done, while criminals used my wedding as their personal exchange center. The anger I felt was different now, cold, focused. So, what's the plan? I asked. Hayes smiled. Tomorrow, you're going to attend what they think is a simple information exchange. But really, she laid out a series of photos. You're going to help us take down their entire operation. The coffee shop looked ordinary enough. Morning sunlight streamed through large windows, and the smell of fresh pastries filled the air. I sat at a corner table, wearing a wire so thin it was practically invisible. In my hand, I clutched a USB drive that Hayes' team had prepared. Target approaching, Luna's voice came through my nearly invisible earpiece. She was posing as a casual customer, typing on her laptop nearby. Gwendolyn's lawyer was right on schedule. A tall man in an expensive suit slid into the seat across from me. "Mrs. Anderson," he said with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. "I trust you've reconsidered your position about the wedding footage." "I have what Gwendolyn wants," I replied, keeping my voice steady. My hands wanted to shake, but I wouldn't let them. "But I need something first." "And what would that be?" He stirred his coffee, looking almost bored. "The truth, all of it. All of, why me? Why my wedding?" He leaned back in his chair, a smug smile on his face as he studied me. "You don't know, do you? Your father's company, the one that went bankrupt 5 years ago? Gwendolyn was behind that. She needed someone vulnerable, someone desperate enough to not ask questions when Asher showed interest." The words hit me like a ton of bricks. My father's business, the depression he'd sunk into, the struggles my family had endured, it was all part of Gwendolyn's manipulative plan. "You were perfect," he continued, the smirk never leaving his face. "Young, naive, so grateful for Asher's attention, the ideal cover for our operation." "That operation's over," I replied coldly, my voice steady. At the signal, everything happened in a split second. Hayes's team surged forward, closing in on him from every angle. The lawyer made a move toward his jacket, but Luna was faster, spilling his coffee all over him. He shouted in surprise, leaping right into the arms of 2 officers. "It's over." Luna's voice crackled in my earpiece as the lawyer was swiftly taken into custody. I could hear the coordinated arrests happening all over the city. Gwendolyn's entire network was being dismantled. Moments later, Martina entered, her expression satisfied. "We got them all," she said, "including some very interesting documents from your friend here." She nodded toward the lawyer being led away in cuffs. "Gwendolyn?" I asked, my voice steady as I tried to make sense of it all. "She's trying to make a deal," Hayes replied, holding up the USB drive we'd used as bait. "But with this evidence, she won't have much to bargain with." The coffee shop, now filled with police gathering evidence, felt like the calm before the storm. "Is it over?" I asked. Hayes squeezed my shoulder. "The criminal part is. The rest is up to you." 3 months later, the courtroom was packed. I sat straight-backed in a simple blue dress, watching Gwendolyn and her network receive their sentences. Asher was there too, having taken a plea deal in exchange for his testimony against his mother. The judge's voice rang out, firm and resolute. "Mrs. Anderson orchestrated a sophisticated money laundering operation, using her son's wedding planning business to hide criminal activities, manipulating vulnerable families, and resorting to violence." The court sentenced her to 20 years. Gwendolyn didn't look at me as they led her away. Asher tried to catch my eye, but I focused straight ahead. The divorce papers had been finalized just the week before. Outside the courthouse, reporters were waiting with cameras and microphones. Luna stood beside me as I made a brief statement. "Today isn't just about justice for me," I said into the microphone. "It's for every family they targeted, every bride whose special day they tried to ruin. Sometimes, the happiest day of your life can turn into your strongest moment." Later that evening, I stood in my new apartment, looking out over the twinkling city lights. The box of wedding gifts had been donated, and the dress given to charity. The tan line where my wedding ring had been was finally fading. My phone buzzed. It was a text from Luna. "Ready for tomorrow?" I smiled, glancing at the business cards on my counter. Indigo Mitchell, wedding security consultant. After my story went viral, wedding planning companies had approached me. Turns out, my experience had made me uniquely qualified to spot red flags in the industry. "Ready," I texted back. The city lights sparkled like stars, and for the first time in months, I felt truly free. My wedding day had been a disaster, but it had given me something far more valuable than a perfect ceremony. It had shown me my strength. Have you ever been pushed to your limits by betrayal, only to find that what seemed like your worst moment was actually your turning point? Can we ever truly understand our strength until it's tested? Indigo's wedding day, which should have been the happiest of her life, quickly devolved into a nightmare when her new husband, Asher, hit her in front of their guests, and his mother, Gwendolyn, revealed their dark secrets. Asher's confession about his involvement in his mother's money laundering operation sent Indigo into a whirlwind of legal battles and personal revelations. Instead of caving to the humiliation, Indigo found her power, working with law enforcement to bring down Gwendolyn's criminal network. After months of investigation and daring operations, Gwendolyn was sentenced to 20 years, and Asher testified against his mother, but their marriage was over. Indigo found strength in this painful chapter, turning her experience into a new purpose, helping others spot red flags in the wedding planning industry and finding her true independence. Indigo's story is a testament to the incredible resilience that can arise from facing the most painful truths. Her wedding was supposed to symbolize the start of a beautiful future, but instead, it unraveled the web of manipulation and deceit that had been woven around her for months. Her first response to the violence and betrayal could have been despair, but instead, it was defiance. When Asher confessed to his involvement in the money laundering scheme, Indigo didn't retreat into silence or shame. She chose to fight back, not just for herself, but for all the families and victims that Gwendolyn had manipulated. By taking control of the narrative, choosing to expose the truth, and help law enforcement dismantle the operation, Indigo turned her pain into purpose. Her decision to walk away from the abuse, her marriage, and the toxic family dynamic was not just a physical act. It was an emotional and spiritual rebirth. The pain of betrayal, rather than breaking her, made her stronger. As she emerged from the storm, Indigo found herself not just surviving, but thriving, turning her tragedy into a career built on the lessons she learned. Her story is one of reclaiming power in the face of abuse, and a reminder that sometimes the darkest moments lead to the brightest transformations. What would you do if everything you trusted was shattered in front of you? Could you find the strength to stand up, even when the world seems against you? What do you think can we find our greatest strength in our hardest moments? Have you ever experienced something that turned your life upside down, but ended up showing you your true potential? Share your stories in the comments, and let's start a conversation about how we can all rise from the ashes. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more empowering stories of transformation. Sometimes, choosing yourself is the bravest thing you can do.
The room wouldn't stop spinning. That's the first thing I remember about that night. The nauseating way everything blurred together like a carnival ride gone wrong. I'm not a lightweight. One glass of wine doesn't turn me into a stumbling mess. But there I was, gripping the bathroom counter at my in-laws' summer barbecue, trying to piece together how I'd gotten there. My name is Lexi, and that was the night I realized my brother-in-law was trying to destroy me. Lexi, you okay in there? My husband Russell's voice came through the door, tinged with concern and something else, embarrassment maybe. I'm fine, I managed, though my voice sounded foreign even to me. Just need a minute. The party sounds filtered through the walls. Laughter, the clink of glasses, my mother-in-law Meredith's distinctive laugh. Everything felt wrong, distorted. I'd only had that one glass of wine, the one Chandler had handed me with his trademark $1,000,000 smile. Chandler, the golden boy, the successful older brother who could do no wrong. I splashed water on my face, trying to clear my head. When I looked in the mirror, my pupils were huge. That's when I knew. This wasn't just alcohol. The door opened, and Kimberly, my sister-in-law, poked her head in. "Oh, honey," she said, her face a mask of pity. "Maybe you should lie down. Chandler told everyone you seemed a bit off earlier." Of course he did. I gripped the counter harder. "Kim, something's wrong. I only had one drink." She gave me that look, the one I'd come to know well in the 5 years since I'd married into the family. The poor Lexi, always making a scene look. "Let's get you somewhere quiet," she said, taking my arm. As she led me through the house, I caught fragments of conversations. Never seen her like this before. Russell must be mortified. At a family gathering of all places, we passed Chandler in the hallway, holding court with a group of relatives. He caught my eye and smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. That's when a memory flashed. Him by the drink table, his back turned, doing something with his hands just before bringing me that wine. Wait, I tried to pull away from Kimberly. I need to talk to Chandler. Not now, she hissed, tightening her grip. You've caused enough embarrassment for one night. In the guest room, she helped me lie down. The ceiling swayed above me like waves. Kim, I grabbed her wrist before she could leave. Please believe me, something's wrong. She sighed. Just sleep it off, Lexi. We'll talk tomorrow when you're yourself again. After she left, I heard voices in the hallway. Chandler's smooth baritone. Poor thing, always trying so hard to fit in. Russell's response was muffled, but I caught the words, maybe we should leave early, and sorry about this. I wanted to scream, to run out there and confront Chandler, but my body wouldn't cooperate. The room kept spinning, and darkness crept in at the edges of my vision. The last thing I remember was Sophia, my cousin, slipping into the room and placing a cool cloth on my forehead. Something's not right, I whispered to her. I know, she said quietly. I saw him buy the drinks. You're not crazy, Lex. The next morning, I woke up in my own bed with a pounding headache and crystal-clear memories of Chandler's calculating smile. Russell was already up, making coffee downstairs. I could hear him on the phone. Yeah, she's still sleeping it off, he was saying. I know, Mom. I'll talk to her about it. Yes, I'm embarrassed too. I sat up slowly, rage replacing the fog in my brain. Chandler had orchestrated the whole thing, drugged me, made me look unstable, and somehow came out looking like the concerned brother-in-law, and everyone had bought it. My phone buzzed with a text from Sophia. We need to talk. I found something about Chandler. I stared at the message, my hands shaking. 5 years of snide comments, subtle undermining, and now this. He'd finally crossed a line, thinking I'd stay quiet to keep the peace like always. But this time would be different. This time, I had proof, and Chandler was about to learn that he'd picked the wrong woman to mess with. I heard Russell's footsteps on the stairs, no doubt coming up to give me a lecture about my behavior. Let him come. I had nothing to be ashamed of, and soon everyone would know exactly what kind of man Chandler really was. You're sure about this? I asked Sophia, staring at the laptop screen in her small home office. 3 days had passed since the barbecue incident, and my hands still shook when I thought about it. Look at the pattern. Sophia pointed to the series of social media posts she'd uncovered. 4 different women, 4 similar stories, all at events where Chandler was present, all experiencing the same symptoms you described. My stomach churned as I read through the posts. None named Chandler directly, but the timestamps aligned perfectly with charity galas and business functions he'd attended. There's more, Sophia said, pulling up another window. Remember Angela from the country club? She left town suddenly last year? Yeah, Meredith said she had a nervous breakdown or something. Sophia's expression darkened. I found her blog. She wrote about being drugged at a club fundraiser. Guess who was on the planning committee? My phone buzzed. Another text from Russell. I'd been avoiding him since our fight yesterday morning. You can't keep accusing my brother without proof, he'd said. He's worried about you. We all are. Maybe you should talk to someone. I need concrete evidence, I told Sophia, ignoring the message. Something they can't dismiss as me being paranoid or unstable. We could talk to Angela, Sophia suggested. She might. A knock at the door made us both jump. Kimberly stood in the doorway, her face tight with concern. Thought I'd find you here, she said. Russell's worried sick. You haven't been answering his calls. I've been busy, I said, closing the laptop. Busy spreading rumors about Chandler? Her voice took on an edge. He told us you've been calling his business associates, asking questions. Did he tell you what kind of questions? I stood up, facing her. About the women who've mysteriously fallen ill at his events? About the missing charity funds from last year's gala? Stop it, Kimberly snapped. You're embarrassing yourself. Chandler built that charity from nothing. He helps people. Like he helped Angela? Sophia interjected. Kimberly's face paled slightly. That's different. She was unstable. Was she? I pressed. Or did Chandler make her look unstable, just like he's doing to me? I can't listen to this. Kimberly turned to leave, but paused. Meredith's hosting dinner tomorrow night. She wants everyone there to clear the air. Don't make things worse, Lexi. After she left, Sophia pulled up another document. Look at this. Financial records from the charity. Large withdrawals, always after major fundraising events. Can we prove where the money went? Not yet, but... Sophia's phone chimed. She read the message, her eyes widening. Morgan just texted. She wants to meet. Says she has information about Chandler, but we have to be careful. Morgan, the family friend who'd worked with Chandler at the charity for years. My heart raced. When? Tonight, the coffee shop on Oak Street. I grabbed my purse. Let's go. The coffee shop was nearly empty when we arrived. Morgan sat in a corner booth, nervously shredding a napkin. She looked up as we approached, her face drawn. I shouldn't be here, she said quietly. If Chandler finds out, he won't, I assured her, sliding into the booth. What do you know? Morgan glanced around before pulling out a USB drive. Financial records, emails, everything I could copy without being noticed. He's been skimming from the charity for years, but that's not the worst part. She lowered her voice. The drugs? He keeps them in his office. I've seen him with them. The night of the barbecue, I saw him take something from his desk before leaving. My hands trembled as I took the USB drive. Why are you helping me? Morgan's eyes filled with tears. Because I saw what he did to Angela. I stayed quiet then, told myself I was imagining things. I can't do it anymore. As we left the coffee shop, Sophia squeezed my arm. This is it, Lexi. Real proof. My phone buzzed again. Russell. This time I answered. Where are you? He demanded. We need to talk. Yes, we do, I said, clutching the USB drive. But first, there's something you need to see. The truth was finally within reach, but as I drove home, dread settled in my stomach. Tomorrow's dinner would change everything. The question was, would my family believe the evidence, or would Chandler find a way to twist this too? One thing was certain, I couldn't back down now, not when I finally had proof of what kind of man my brother-in-law really was. Russell's face grew paler with each document we reviewed on our living room couch. The USB drive contained years of doctored financial records, suspicious email exchanges, and most damning, a series of text messages about keeping things quiet after charity events. This can't be real, he muttered, running a hand through his hair. My brother wouldn't. There's more, I said, pulling up the blog posts Sophia had found. Read what Angela wrote. As he read, his hands began to shake. Why didn't she come forward? Would you have believed her? I asked quietly. Over Chandler? Before he could answer, his phone lit up with Chandler's name. Russell stared at it, then declined the call. He's been trying to reach me all day, I said. Probably knows Morgan talked to us. Morgan? Russell's head snapped up. You need to warn her. If Chandler suspects... My phone buzzed with a text from Sophia. 911. Morgan just called. C showed up at her apartment. I'll drive. Russell grabbed his keys, his face set with determination I hadn't seen since this started. Morgan's apartment was only 15 minutes away, but it felt like hours. When we pulled up, Chandler's black Mercedes was parked outside. Stay here, Russell ordered, but I was already out of the car. We could hear raised voices from Morgan's second-floor apartment. Russell took the stairs 2 at a time, with me right behind him. "You have no idea what you've done," Chandler's voice carried through the door. "Everything I built, leave her alone." Russell's shout cut through the night as he burst through the unlocked door. The scene inside froze. Morgan backed against her kitchen counter, Chandler looming over her, a laptop open on the table between them. "Russell?" Chandler's smooth facade slipped for just a moment before recovering. "Thank God you're here. Morgan's been spreading lies." "Save it." Russell's voice was ice. "I've seen the proof." "Proof?" Chandler laughed, but his eyes darted to the laptop. "Whatever they showed you is fake. They're trying to destroy our family. Like you tried to destroy Angela?" Morgan's voice shook but held firm. "I saved everything, Chandler. Every email, every transaction." "You ungrateful little—" Chandler lunged for the laptop, but Russell stepped between them. "Touch her, and I'm calling the police," I said, phone already in hand. Chandler straightened his jacket, that familiar calculating look crossing his face. "Think about what you're doing, Russell. I'm your brother. Are you really going to believe these women over your own blood?" "These women?" Russell's voice cracked. "One of them is my wife, who you drugged at our family barbecue." "She was drunk," Chandler scoffed. "Making a scene like always. Tell me, Lexi, how long did it take you to convince my brother to turn against me, to poison him with your paranoid delusions?" "Don't," Russell warned, stepping closer. "Don't you dare try to twist this." My phone buzzed again. "Sophia, police are on their way. Stall him." Chandler must have seen something in my expression because his eyes narrowed. "What did you do?" Sirens wailed in the distance. Chandler's face contorted with rage. "You've ruined everything," he snarled, grabbing his keys. "All of you." "Chandler, wait!" Russell reached for him, but Chandler shoved past, thundering down the stairs. Tires squealed as his Mercedes peeled away, just as police cars rounded the corner. Morgan collapsed into a chair, shaking. He was trying to delete the files, but I already backed everything up. "He's going to destroy me for this." "No, he won't," Russell said firmly, putting a hand on her shoulder. "We won't let him." 2 police officers entered the apartment, and the next hour was a blur of statements and questions. When we finally got home, it was past midnight. Russell sat heavily on our couch, looking older than I'd ever seen him. "All these years," he whispered, "all the signs I ignored because he was my brother." "It's not your fault," I said, sitting beside him. "Tomorrow's dinner at Mom and Dad's," he said. "They need to know everything before Chandler spins his version of events." My phone lit up with a final message from Sophia. "Just heard from a friend at the DA's office. They're opening an investigation into the charity's finances." "It's happening, Lex." I showed Russell the message, watching reality settle over him like a heavy blanket. "He's not gonna go down quietly," I said. "No," Russell agreed, taking my hand. "But this time, he's not facing you alone." Tomorrow would bring its own battles, but for the first time since the barbecue, I felt steady. The truth was out there, impossible to ignore. Now we just had to make Chandler's biggest supporters, his parents, see it too. The silence at Meredith and Hugh's dinner table was deafening. Russell had just finished showing them the financial records and explaining the previous night's events with Morgan. Meredith's hand trembled as she set down her wine glass. "This is ridiculous," she said, but her voice lacked its usual conviction. "There must be some explanation." "There is," Hugh's voice boomed across the table. "Someone's clearly fabricated these documents to frame Chandler." "Dad," Russell leaned forward. "Morgan worked with him for years. She has proof." "That girl always was jealous of Chandler's success," Meredith cut in. "And now she's convinced you both to participate in this witch hunt." My phone buzzed. A text from Sophia. "Angela's agreed to meet. She's flying in tomorrow." Before I could respond, the front door opened. Kimberly rushed in, her face flushed. "Have you seen the news?" she demanded, holding up her tablet. "They're saying the charity's under investigation. Chandler's face is everywhere." Hugh snatched the tablet, his complexion darkening as he read. "This is your doing," he pointed at me. "You've never accepted Chandler, always trying to create drama." "Stop it." Russell slammed his hand on the table, making the dishes rattle. "Look at the evidence, Dad. Really look at it." "Where's Chandler?" Meredith's voice quivered. "Why isn't he here defending himself?" As if on cue, my phone rang, an unknown number. I answered on speaker. "Hello, Lexi." Chandler's voice filled the room, smooth as ever. "I hope you're enjoying destroying our family." "Chandler, where are you?" Meredith cried. "Ask your daughter-in-law, Mother. She's the one who's orchestrated this whole thing. But don't worry, I'm not going down alone." "What does that mean?" Russell demanded. "It means," Chandler's voice turned cold, "that I have my own evidence about everyone. Did you know, Mother, that your perfect Russell has been embezzling from his own company? And Lexi, those prescription drugs in your bathroom cabinet, they're not in your name, are they?" My heart stopped. The pain medication from my car accident last year. I'd used Russell's prescription when mine ran out. "That's enough," Hugh growled. "Come home, son. We'll fix this." "Fix it?" Chandler laughed. "Like you fixed things when I was 17? When you paid off that girl's family to keep quiet?" The color drained from Hugh's face. Meredith gasped. "We swore never to speak of that," she whispered. "Well, now everyone's gonna know everything," Chandler said. "I've sent a very detailed email to several news outlets. Should be published any minute now." Russell's phone pinged. He looked at it, then at his father. "Dad? What girl?" Hugh's hands shook as he collapsed into his chair. "It was a mistake. We thought we'd handled it." "You ruined her life." Chandler's voice was eerily calm. "Just like Lexi's trying to ruin mine. So now everyone's secrets come out." "Chandler, please," Meredith begged. "We can still fix this." "Too late, Mother. Check your emails." The line went dead. Immediately, phones around the table started buzzing with notifications. "Oh, God," Kimberly whispered, reading her screen. "He's exposed everything, everyone." I opened my own email. There it was, a massive thread detailing decades of family secrets, including my medication incident. But something caught my eye. "Russell?" I grabbed his arm. "Look at the email header." He squinted at it, then his eyes widened. This was sent from his office computer. I was already dialing Sophia. "He's at the charity office. Call Detective Martinez." "You're not calling anyone." Hugh stood up, his authority reasserting itself. "This stays in the family." "Like you kept that girl's assault in the family?" Russell's voice was deadly quiet. "No more covering for him, Dad." Meredith began to cry. Kimberly sat frozen, still scrolling through Chandler's revelations. My phone buzzed again. "Sophia. Police are heading to the charity office. Angela's landing in 2 hours." "I'm going," I announced, standing up. "Anyone who wants the full truth, come with me." "I'll drive," Russell said immediately. To everyone's surprise, Kimberly stood too. "I want to look him in the eye when he explains this." As we headed for the door, Meredith called out, "Please, he's still your brother." Russell turned back. "No, Mom. Right now, he's a criminal about to face justice. You can either help us stop him or keep enabling him. Your choice." We left Hugh and Meredith sitting in their pristine dining room, surrounded by the wreckage of their family's secrets. In the car, Russell gripped the steering wheel tight. "The charity office is 20 minutes away," he said. "Let's end this." I nodded, watching the streetlights blur past. Chandler thought he could destroy us all, but he'd forgotten one thing. The truth, once exposed, couldn't be buried again. The charity office building loomed dark against the night sky, except for one illuminated window on the third floor. Police cars lined the street, their lights silent but spinning. "He's still up there," Detective Martinez met us at the entrance. "We've got the building surrounded, but he's refusing to come out." "Let me talk to him." Russell stepped forward, but the detective shook her head. "He's demanding to speak with Lexi, alone." "Absolutely not." Russell grabbed my arm. "I'll do it," I said, surprising myself with how steady my voice sounded. "But I want to wait for Angela first." As if on cue, Sophia's car pulled up. Angela stepped out, looking smaller than I remembered, but her jaw was set with determination. "I brought everything," she said, clutching a manila envelope. "Police reports I never filed, hospital records, everything." A crash echoed from upstairs, followed by the sound of breaking glass. Detective Martinez grabbed her radio. "He's destroying evidence," I said. "We need to go up now." "I'm coming with you." Angela stepped forward. "Me too," Kimberly said quietly. When we all turned to look at her, she lifted her chin. "I need to see who my brother really is." The detective nodded to her officers, and we moved toward the elevator. Russell caught my arm. "Be careful," he whispered. "He's cornered now. That makes him dangerous." The elevator ride felt endless. When the doors opened to the third floor, we could hear Chandler moving around his office, the sound of papers shredding. "Stay behind me," Detective Martinez whispered, drawing her weapon. We approached the office door. Through the glass, I could see Chandler feeding documents into a shredder, his usually perfect hair disheveled, suit jacket discarded. "Chandler," I called out, "open the door." He looked up, that familiar calculating smile spreading across his face. "Lexi? And Angela too? What a reunion." He hit the door lock release. Detective Martinez entered first, weapon raised. "Step away from the shredder." "Of course." Chandler raised his hands, still smiling. "Though I'm afraid most of the interesting documents are already gone." "Not all of them." Angela stepped forward, holding up her envelope. "I kept everything." The smile flickered. Angela, still holding on to the past? We both know nobody believed you then. Why would they now?" "Because now there's proof." Kimberly's voice cracked as she held up her phone, displaying the email thread. "How could you, Chandler? All these women?" "Please," he scoffed. "They wanted to be part of this world. I just showed them the cost of admission." "By drugging them?" I stepped closer. "By destroying their reputations when they threatened to expose you? You were all so eager to believe the worst." He turned to the window. "A few pills, a few rumors, and your perfect lives crumbled. It was almost too easy." "Until now," Angela said firmly. Chandler's shoulders tensed. "You think this changes anything? Dad will hire the best lawyers. The family will close ranks. They always do." "Not this time." Kimberly's voice was steel. "I've already sent everything to the board of directors. Your resignation letter goes out tomorrow." He spun around, mask finally cracking. "You wouldn't dare. I made you who you are." "No." She stepped back. "You made me complicit. That ends tonight." More officers entered the office. Detective Martinez moved forward with handcuffs. "Chandler Moore, you're under arrest." He lunged suddenly, not toward the detective, but at me. His hands found my throat as we crashed into the desk. "You ruined everything," he snarled. Everything happened at once. Officers shouting, Angela screaming, Kimberly crying out. Then Russell's voice cut through the chaos. "Get away from my wife!" The pressure on my throat vanished as Russell tackled his brother. They hit the ground hard, years of brotherly trust shattering like the glass beneath them. Officers pulled them apart, Chandler now truly disheveled, blood trickling from his lip. As they cuffed him, he started laughing. "You still don't get it, do you?" He looked at each of us. "I'm not the villain here. I just played by the rules our parents taught us. Appearances matter more than truth. Power matters more than people." "No," Russell said quietly. "You're exactly the villain, and now everyone will know it." As they led Chandler away, he called over his shoulder, "Better watch your back, Lexi. Family secrets have a way of destroying everyone they touch." Detective Martinez touched my arm. "We'll need statements from all of you." I nodded, rubbing my throat. Through the window, I could see more police cars arriving, news vans following close behind. By morning, everything would be public. "Are you okay?" Russell pulled me close. "No," I answered honestly, "but I will be." Angela and Kimberly stood together by the shredder, picking up scattered papers. The night wasn't over. There would be statements to give, questions to answer, family to face. But watching Chandler's perfectly crafted world crumble around him, that made every moment worth it. The morning headlines hit like a tsunami. Prominent charity director arrested. Family empire crumbles. Years of abuse exposed. My phone hadn't stopped buzzing since dawn. "Turn off the TV," Russell said, walking into our living room where the news played on repeat. "We've seen enough." "Your parents called again," I said, showing him the missed calls. 15 times since breakfast. "They can wait. The DA wants to meet with us in an hour." A knock at the door made us both jump. Kimberly stood there, looking exhausted. "Mom and Dad are at the police station," she said, stepping inside. "They're trying to post bail." "Of course they are," Russell muttered. "That's not all." Kimberly pulled out her tablet. "3 more women have come forward since last night. The story's everywhere." My phone rang. Sophia. "Angela's interview just went live," she said when I answered. "You need to see this." We huddled around Kimberly's tablet, watching Angela speak directly to the camera, her voice steady. "I was 22 when Chandler first targeted me," she said. "He waited until I was vulnerable, isolated, made everyone think I was unstable, and he didn't just do it to me." The interview cut to footage of Chandler being led out of the charity office in handcuffs, then to photos of his previous victims. "Turn it off," Russell said hoarsely. Another knock, this time Detective Martinez with Morgan. "We found something in the office safe," the detective said, holding up a small black book. "Names, dates, amounts. He kept records of everything." "Including blackmail," Morgan added. "He had dirt on everyone who could expose him." "That's why he was so confident," I realized. "He thought he was untouchable." "The DA's pushing for maximum charges," Detective Martinez continued. "But we need you all to testify." "I'll do it," Kimberly said immediately. "I enabled him for too long." My phone buzzed again, Meredith calling. This time I answered. "How could you do this to us?" she sobbed. "To your family? How could you protect him all these years?" I shot back. "How many lives did he ruin while you looked the other way?" "You don't understand," she pleaded. "We did what we had to." "No," Russell took the phone. "You did what was easy, and now you're still trying to protect him instead of his victims. We're done, Mom. Don't call again." He hung up, hands shaking. "The press is outside your parents' house," Morgan said softly. "They're asking about the girl from when Chandler was 17. "She's coming forward too," Detective Martinez added. "Says she's tired of carrying the secret." Russell sank onto the couch. "I should have seen it. All those years." "We all should have," Kimberly sat beside him. "But he was good at making us see what he wanted." Another buzz, a text from Angela. "Thank you for believing me, for all of us." The DA's office was a fortress of activity when we arrived. Phones ringing, people rushing between offices, papers everywhere. The charity boards cooperating fully. the DA told us in her office. They're turning over everything, but we need to move fast. Your parents have hired 3 separate law firms. What do you need from us? I asked. Everything. Every detail, every incident, every cover-up you witnessed. Chandler's going down, but we need to make sure he can't hurt anyone else. As she spoke, her assistant rushed in. Ma'am, you need to see this. He handed her a phone. A video was playing. Chandler in his holding cell, speaking directly to the camera. If I'm going down, he said, his familiar smile now twisted with malice, I'm taking everyone with me. Every secret, every lie, every dirty deal this family's ever made. By the time I'm done, there won't be anything left to salvage. The DA looked up. This just went viral. He must have had someone smuggle in a phone. Russell stood. Let him talk. No more secrets, no more cover-ups. Whatever he says, we face it together. My phone lit up with a message from Sophia. Hugh's at the hospital. Apparent heart attack after seeing the video. Kimberly gasped when I showed them. We need to go. No, Russell said firmly. We need to finish this. Dad made his choice a long time ago. The DA nodded. Let's get your statements now. Whatever Chandler releases next, we'll be ready. As we followed her to the conference room, I caught a glimpse of the news playing in the lobby. Chandler's booking photo stared back. That smug smile finally replaced with something else. Fear. Good, I thought. Let him feel what his victims felt. Let him finally face the consequences of his actions. The real battle was just beginning, but for the first time, the truth was on our side. The courthouse steps were packed with reporters as we made our way inside for Chandler's bail hearing. 3 weeks had passed since his arrest, and the scandal had only grown. Ms. Lawson, they shouted, what's your response to Chandler's latest allegations? Did you know about the offshore accounts? Is it true your father-in-law's condition is critical? Russell gripped my hand tighter as we pushed through. Inside, Angela and Morgan waited with our lawyer. He's already here, Morgan whispered, and Meredith's with him. The courtroom was standing room only. Chandler sat at the defense table, still wearing his expensive suit, but his usual polish had faded. Meredith sat directly behind him, her face drawn. All rise, the bailiff called. As the judge entered, I caught Chandler staring at me. His lips curved into that familiar smirk, and he mouthed 2 words. Watch this. The proceedings began normally enough. The prosecution outlined the charges: drugging, financial fraud, blackmail. Then Chandler's lawyer stood. Your Honor, my client would like to address the court. The judge peered over her glasses. Unusual at a bail hearing, but proceed. Chandler stood straightening his tie. Thank you, Your Honor. I'd like to confess. A gasp rippled through the courtroom. His lawyer grabbed his arm, but Chandler shook him off. Not to these ridiculous charges, he continued, but to the real crime here, the systematic corruption of an entire family. Objection! The prosecutor jumped up. Let him speak, the judge said, looking intrigued. Chandler turned to face the gallery. My dear sister-in-law Lexi thinks she's exposed some great truth, but she's only scratched the surface. Shall we talk about how my father built his empire? How many people he destroyed? Chandler, please, Meredith whispered. Or how about my brother Russell? So righteous now. But where did he think the money for his startup really came from? Russell tensed beside me. And Lexi. Chandler's eyes found mine. Sweet, innocent Lexi. Did you tell them about the real reason you left your last job? About the married man? That's enough, Russell stood. Order! The judge banged her gavel. I have proof of everything, Chandler announced. Documents, recordings, photographs. I protected this family for years, covered every dirty secret. And this is how they repay me? Your Honor, his lawyer interrupted. My client is clearly under stress. I'm clearly the only honest one here, Chandler shouted. Every accusation against me, they knew. They all knew. Ask my mother about the trust fund she set up for my victims. Ask my father about— Stop, Meredith cried out, standing. Please, I'll tell them everything. The courtroom froze. Chandler's smirk faltered. Mrs. Moore? The judge leaned forward. Meredith's voice shook. The trust fund is real. We knew what he was doing. We thought we could control it, contain it. Hugh said it was better to handle things quietly. Mom, shut up, Chandler hissed. No. She straightened her spine. I'm done protecting you. I'm done destroying other families to save our reputation. She turned to Angela. I'm so sorry. We should have stopped him years ago. Chandler lunged at the barrier separating him from his mother. You stupid woman. Do you know what you've done? Officers rushed to restrain him as he thrashed and shouted, I'll destroy you all, every last secret, every lie. Bail denied. The judge's voice cut through the chaos, and add witness intimidation to the charges. As they led Chandler away, he locked eyes with me one last time. The smirk was gone, replaced by pure hatred. Outside, reporters swarmed again, but this time Meredith stepped forward. I have a statement to make, she said clearly, about everything. Mom, don't, Kimberly pleaded. It's time, Meredith replied. The truth isn't just what Chandler decides to reveal anymore. As she began speaking to the press, Russell pulled me aside. What he said about your last job, it wasn't true, I said firmly. But there will be more lies. He's not done yet. Doesn't matter. Russell squeezed my hand. We face whatever comes next together. My phone buzzed. Sophia. Hugh's awake. He's asking for Russell. I showed him the message. You should go. We should go, he corrected. No more divisions in this family. We either heal together or break together. As we left the courthouse, I watched Meredith still speaking to the reporters, tears streaming down her face but voice steady. Behind her, Angela and Morgan stood supportive, united. Even Kimberly had joined them. Chandler had tried to break us with secrets and lies. Instead, he'd forced us to face the truth, all of it, ugly and raw and necessary. The healing could finally begin. The verdict took less than 2 hours. I sat between Russell and Angela as the jury foreman stood, holding the piece of paper that would end this chapter of our lives. On all counts, we find the defendant guilty. Chandler didn't flinch. He'd spent the entire trial wearing that same calculated smile, even as victim after victim testified against him, even as his own mother detailed decades of cover-ups. The judge's voice cut through the courtroom. The defendant will rise for sentencing. As Chandler stood, he turned to face us. Gone was the polished charm, replaced by cold hatred. Would the defendant like to make a statement before sentencing? The judge asked. Only this, Chandler's voice carried clearly. You think this ends here? You think you've won? Everything I said about this family was true. They're no better than me. They're just better at hiding it. That's enough, the judge interrupted. Based on the severity and duration of your crimes, I hereby sentence you to 25 years in state prison. The gallery erupted in whispers. Hugh, attending court for the first time since his heart attack, gripped Meredith's hand. Additionally, the judge continued, you are ordered to pay restitution to your victims and the charity. Your assets will be seized. You can't touch my assets, Chandler sneered. They're all offshore. Actually, Morgan stood up. The board already found them. Every account, every transfer. It's all being returned. For the first time, Chandler's smile cracked. As officers approached to take him away, he locked eyes with me. Enjoy your perfect little family, Lexi. Just remember, you're all still lying to each other. Some secrets never die. You're wrong, I said, loud enough for everyone to hear. We're done with secrets. The officers led him out. The last thing we saw was his face contorting with rage as the doors closed behind him. Outside the courthouse, Hugh approached me slowly, leaning on his cane. Lexi, his voice was rough. I owe you an apology. All these years, I thought I was protecting my family. Instead, I was protecting a monster. We all have to live with what we enabled, Meredith added softly. But thanks to you, no one else will be hurt. Angela stepped forward. The foundation's being restructured. We're turning it into a support network for abuse survivors. Will you help us? Of course, I said, as Russell wrapped an arm around me. Kimberly joined us, holding up her phone. Chandler's last attempt at revenge just backfired. Those offshore accounts he mentioned, they've led investigators to 3 other predators in his circle. They're being arrested now. Good, Russell said firmly. Let them all face justice. My phone buzzed, Sophia sending a photo. The charity's new sign was being installed. The Phoenix Foundation, rising from ashes. It's perfect, Morgan smiled, looking at the image. A fresh start. Hugh cleared his throat. There's something else we need to discuss. The family estate? Dad, you don't have to. Russell began. Yes, I do, Hugh interrupted. I'm turning it into a shelter, a safe place for people escaping situations like what my own son created. It's time this family's wealth helped people instead of hiding crimes. Tears streamed down Meredith's face as she hugged him. A reporter approached, microphone ready, but Angela stepped between us. No more stories today, she said firmly. This family's done being headline news. As we walked down the courthouse steps together, victims and enablers, protectors and protected, all trying to heal, I felt lighter than I had in months. You know, Russell said quietly, Chandler was right about one thing. We're not perfect. No, I agreed, but we're trying to be better. That's what matters. Kimberly linked arms with me. So, family dinner tonight? No secrets, no lies, just family? I'd like that, I smiled. Behind us, the courthouse doors opened again. More victims emerged, supporting each other, finally free to tell their stories. Morgan and Angela went to greet them, offering welcome packages from the Phoenix Foundation. The truth hadn't destroyed us like Chandler promised. It had freed us. Every exposed secret, every painful confession had torn down the walls we'd built around ourselves. Ready to go home? Russell asked. I looked at our gathered family, not perfect, not unbroken, but real and honest at last. Yes, I said, I'm ready. We walked away from the courthouse together, leaving behind the shadows of secrets and the weight of silence. Ahead of us lay something harder, but infinitely more valuable. The truth, in all its messy, healing glory. And this time, we'd face it together.